What's up internet, Kevin here. So earlier this week the Destiny alpha ended, and thankfully I got a chance to actually play in it since I tried it out at the E3 show floor. So I wanted to bring you guys an idea of what the gameplay was like that we saw in the alpha and my thoughts on it so far, just so you can get a better idea of what we'll expect from the game when it launches later this year. Now, those of you that aren't aware of what Destiny is or haven't paid that close of attention to what it's trying to do, it's basically a fusion of FPS and MMORPG mechanics. It's not the first game to explore this combination, but it's definitely going its own approach with how they're handling the fusion. To begin with, like in most MMO games, you need to make your character, and Destiny offers 3 different races to choose from, which as of right now appear to be purely a cosmetic choice. There are humans, which you basically get the idea of, Awakened, which are basically pale blue humans with crazier hair and eye colors, and Exos, which are basically just robots. After going through the cosmetic options for looks like facial structure, hair, and face markings, you can then pick your class, which Destiny offers 3 to choose from. Titans, which are meant to be the tanks, Hunters, which take on the role of high single target DPS, and Warlocks, which have area of effect moves and later on support abilities. Each class has access to the same weapons. The big difference between them is special pieces of armor and what kinds of special moves, melee skills, and grenades you have access to. I personally played as the Warlock mostly, giving me a big AoE Void Blast that just ruins enemies. Now, as far as the core gameplay goes, Destiny feels a lot like familiar territory. While there are a lot of different RPG mechanics happening in the background, like what kind of gear you're equipped with, what class you picked, what abilities you've gained from leveling up, in the end it still feels very much like a traditional FPS. Each class has a grenade-like ability on cooldown, and a melee move that can have a bonus effect also on cooldown, along with various passive bonuses that might lead them up to favoring a certain playstyle or type of weapon, and their signature special move, which ends up really playing up their differences in team situations. As I said earlier, any class can equip any gun, and characters can equip up to 3 different ones in different categories. A main gun, which is usually some kind of assault, burst, or marksman rifle, or just a hand cannon. A special weapon, which consists of shotguns, sniper rifles, and energy-based fusion rifles. And heavy weapons, which include things like a minigun or rocket launcher. So while there are a lot of RPG things going on in the background as far as how damage is calculated and how your character is built, the end result still ends up playing just like most familiar FPS titles. So after you've made your character, the Destiny Alpha was basically divided into 4 main sections to really show off different aspects of its gameplay. First off, there's Old Russia. The alpha starts here with a story mission featuring moon wizards, and then you're allowed to revisit it to freely explore the area, find secret rooms or chests, and accept a number of side quests to help level up your character and make money. Side quests are in all honesty really bland. They're a kind of MMORPG grunt tasks some of you may be familiar with, like fetch this item from this place, or kill 10 of these kind of enemies, and so on and so forth. Admittedly though, the FPS side of things do make these side quests a lot less monotonous, and they do give you a really good reason and sense of direction to explore the rest of Old Russia. This part of the game is somewhat instanced, but you will end up running into other players and can party up with them on the spot if you want to work together, adding on to the MMO side of things. Then there's the Tower. This is the central social hub for the game, giving you a place to accept and turn in major quests, socialize with players in non-battle situations, or most importantly, stock up on items and purchase new gear for combat. This is also the one place where the camera changes to the third-person perspective, letting you see what your character looks like to others as you gear up. Now third up is the Crucible. Now this is actually the mode that I got to try out on the E3 show floor, and it's basically a side arena that lets you treat the game like you would any other multiplayer competitive FPS. The Crucible puts you into 6v6 matches with varying objectives. Based on the menu, it does look to contain a current total of 6 different match types to choose from, though during the alpha, there was only one option available, which was Domination, having players compete over keeping control of 3 different objective points. Now last up is the Devil's Den, which is another part of the game that really showcases its multiplayer options, but in this case, it's much more co-op focused. The Devil's Den is a dungeon setting where a team of 3 players, preferably each one of a different class, work together to hold off waves of enemies. The level of difficulty on this is noticeably higher than what you'd experience in just the open free roam segments of the game, so it really forces you to have to work together with fellow players, and not just try to do your own things and end up dying separately. So you can kind of see how Destiny is trying to intertwine the 2 different genres. As far as the core gameplay goes and all the different side modes, it plays a lot up like a regular FPS game, but then there's the story missions and the exploration aspects, and the ways you build your characters leveling up and unlocking new abilities and gear that really open it up to the more the MMORPG style of things. All in all, my experience with the alpha was pretty positive. It definitely feels more like an FPS overall, but the MMO aspects being added do help give it its own distinct flavor. I wasn't a huge fan of the Crucible mode, mostly because it does make the game play like any other FPS, but that is the reason why it's a side mode. The game's exploration and story modes, on the other hand, appeal to me a lot more. This is where the MMO aspects really show, with things like how you encounter other players, and just having the chance to freely roam and explore the game's environments. The one thing I'm a lot more curious to see that I didn't get a chance to experience in the alpha is how customizable each class is in terms of other special moves and builds at later levels, and just how different two characters of the same class can eventually become, or if they just end up being more or less the same character whose only big difference is their gear choice. So that was just a little look at my experiences with the Destiny Alpha. There is a beta upcoming for it as well, and we will be seeing the full launch for it later this year on September 9th, at which point I will be picking it up so I can bring you guys my full thoughts on the final product. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching my videos, and if you enjoyed this one, please make sure to hit that thumbs up button to let me know. I always appreciate it. And if you're not a subscriber yet, then you should hit that button too, because I've got more great content planned and on the way. You guys can also follow me on Twitter at Kevin Kenson, where you can hear my up-to-date thoughts on games I'm playing or on gaming news, or you can just find out what videos I'm uploading when to which channels. I'll be seeing you guys soon with some more content, but until then, I'm Kevin Kenson, and I'll see you later.